is a bit jarring, because it's not really what we expect to hear from Jesus. I've come to bring division, even to divide up families. And what do we usually hear about Jesus and the gospel? It's the message of peace and the message of love. Most of us like to hear the song, "Let there be peace on earth," and leave church with a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling. Let there be peace on earth. Oh, it feels so good. How does that fit in with this gospel? And this gospel kind of is jarring. It's jarring. Well, let me give you a little bit of background on this scripture passage. And then we'll give some examples about what Jesus meant by spreading division, and even spreading division amongst families. This Gospel of Luke was written around the year 75. And the Gospel began to spread throughout the Mediterranean region. Luke wrote this Gospel probably in Greece. And Luke was also instructed by St. Paul. And St. Paul, of course, you know, was a great rabbi himself. And so the gospel is going out to the Gentiles, pagans, and to the Jews. And they're making converts. They're making converts to Christianity. And it's causing disruption. It's causing disruption amongst the Jews. Why? Well, if you're Jewish, then you want your children to be Jewish. Let me tell you a true story. I was once in a parish in a place called New Jersey. Cherry Hill, as a matter of fact. And we had a very large Jewish community. And Christians and Jews both went to the same high school. And naturally, young men and young women came into contact with each other, and they began to fall in love. And then they would come and say to me, "Father, we want to get married." And invariably, I would say to them, especially for boys, I said, "You're Jewish. How does your family feel about this? Because you're going to have to get married in the Catholic Church, or I can come to the synagogue under certain conditions, but you're going to have to raise children Catholic." "No problem, Father. My parents are going to go to the synagogue." Until I met them the following month. "Father's a problem. My father is bad. He wants his children to be raised Jewish." And you know what? I could understand where that Jewish father was coming from. They didn't even want to come into the Catholic Church. So there was trouble in the family. The gospel also went out to the pagan world, and they are becoming, some members of the family are becoming Christians. Now, of course, this was a kick in the teeth to pagan society, a kick into someplace else too of society to pagans. Because of the completely different standards that the Christians had. You have to understand that religion in the ancient world, although it may not have been exactly what we understand to be with a personal God, they had their gods. And a lot of times it wasn't so much that they believed in the gods, but they stood for the customs of the people. The Romans called it their mos maiorum, their culture. And the Roman culture was radically different from the Christian culture. For instance, there was no such thing as love your neighbor as yourself. If anything, the Romans said, come to your neighbor. And certainly their standards regarding how you live your daily life, especially regarding sexual morality, were extremely different from what Christianity taught. St. Paul spoke so beautifully about this. Let me just tell you what St. Paul said. Some of you, I'm sure, have heard of the Epistle to the Ephesians. The Epistle to the Ephesians. In the second chapter, right at the beginning, verse 1 of the second chapter of the Ephesians, he says to the Christians, at one time you aligned yourself with the spirits of this world, with the culture of this world. Now, one time you aligned yourself with the culture, the spirit of this world, and you gave yourself over to the spirits of the sky, the demons, the devil. You gave yourself over to the devil. And then he said, and you lived a carnal life, a fleshly life. But now you are in Christ. And so you can see there is a different standard. Paul was not into political correctness. For Christians, there are different standards. And when you get into political correctness, it is not the gospel that you believe in, but it is in the culture that you have your belief. Let me talk to you about political correctness and how even Christians and Catholics are buying into a modern culture, a culture which is at odds with what the gospel teaches. And the culture which seems to be gaining hegemony over Christians. So much so that Christians are now willing to accept things that they would never have accepted in the past, and believe that things have changed, and now what was once wrong is now right. This past week, there was a scene which was extremely poignant. They were having a LGBTQ parade in Poland. In Poland! Probably one of the most Catholic countries in the whole world. At least that's what Father Chris tells me. One young man named Jacob Borrell, young man, 15 years old, he stood in front of that parade. He held up a crucifix. He said, what you believe and how you act is contrary to the gospel of Jesus Christ. And the police carried him away. He was making a statement contradicting political correctness. But how many today would dare do such a thing? Just like the Romans. It's part of our culture now. I don't want to get my head chopped off. I want to remain friends with everybody. I got to be careful for my job. I might not get into a good school. They might dox me. You know what doxing is? It means when somebody does something that you think is not right, you put it out there online who they are and where they live, and that way they'll be harassed until they stop, until they're silenced. Let's see what happens to Jacob Morello in Poland. What LGBTQXYZ stands for is contrary to the gospel. It's perversion. How many stand up and say no? A few weeks ago, I read about a little girl in London. This is worldwide. Little girl in London. She asked not to go to a gay pride week event sponsored in her school. She said it was contrary to her belief. She was, I believe, an evangelical or Pentecostal. Little girl was suspended. She was suspended because what was being taught, the indoctrination that was being foisted upon little children, was contrary to what she believed. And she was suspended. What message does that send out to the other children? You better cooperate, you're going to be in trouble. You're not acceptable. You're not part of the crowd. You are not giving in to the popular culture, to political correctness. And so they intimidate, indoctrinate, and force people to be quiet. One more example. I read about a man in Oregon. And this man has not paid his state income tax for 10 years. You know why? Because Oregon, as well as 16 other states, uses tax money to pay for abortions. This man now has to plead his case in court. He probably has to use a lot of his own money, maybe drain his bank accounts to try to defend himself. And my guess is that he's going to lose. Because the state says you have to pay your tax. And he says, I can't because my tax money is funding abortion. That's heroic. That's heroic. Now, I'm not encouraging anyone to stand in front of a crowd holding a crucifix. Some of you should. If you have children and grandchildren, I want you to be able to stand up for their rights, not to be indoctrinated and not to be intimidated. Find out what's being taught in the schools. Had a young man come to me from our own area. And he said to me, Father, I got sent to the vice principal's office. I'm in trouble. I said, why? He said, well, there's a guy in my class, and he said he's a girl. And I said to him, he called him, he said, you're a boy, you're not a girl. And he was reported. And he was disciplined. He said, you cannot call him he or him. What we want you to do is call him they. They said to me. Or you say she. She. Instead of he or she, it's now she. And so we can't even recognize the way God made us, male and female. You have a vice president who just recently said there are at least 3 genders. At least 3, might not more. But this is what we believe, or the popular culture is teaching us. Now, we must stand up as Christians. This is where division comes in, to set a fire on the earth. We must stand up and speak the truth. That's what the gospel calls us to do. If we're a Christian, we're simply skating by life, unscathed, and just going with the flow. That's one of the stupidest statements I've ever heard in my whole life. I go with the flow. You know what goes with the flow? Sewage. That's what goes with the flow. Now let me tell you very clearly. Jesus pulls no punches in this gospel. He never said it was going to be easy to be a Christian. And it was very difficult for those early Christians in the society in which they lived. And sometimes you might feel, who am I? Who am I? What can I do? I'm only one person. I'm only one person. Everything is so messed up, it's out of control. Everybody's against me. People don't go to church anymore, don't believe in what the gospel teaches. The prophets had the same problems. The great prophet Isaiah, in the 60th chapter, he said this: the children of Israel had been decimated by the Babylonians. And in that 60th chapter, naturally the children of Israel were very depressed. The temple had been destroyed. A lot of times their culture was contaminated by their stay in Babylon. And yet he said to them, he said, lo, the darkness covers the earth, and the thick clouds the people, but the glory of the Lord shall shine. The glory of God will shine through the darkness. Some of you might remember a group called the Christophers. They're a wonderful motto. I want you to think about this, and I hope that you'll put it into action. Instead of cursing darkness, light a candle and spread the light. And then this gospel will be real for you. God bless you.